Zed is back. 21 years after the release of their second album comes number 3, and it's titled Future Memory. We talked to Nathan, Adrian, Andy, and Ben and asked them what inspired them to make this new record after all these years.
Well, it all kind of initially kicked off with a show we played at Eden Park when the All Blacks were playing the Lions in 2017. And we had the opportunity to play at the halftime, and it was just a real buzz and a really exciting thing to do. And so from that, a little bit of momentum built, and we decided we should start playing live a little more, which we did, and sort of reformed officially in 2019. Hence the Power Station show and some shows down in Christchurch as well. And that all went so well that we thought let's do this some more. We're enjoying it again, and we're all mates still. And there's been a long time between drinks, but we all seem to be able to perform how we did, and it's been great. So that one, it's just organically led to us deciding, we've got this catalogue of hit songs that we roll out and play to people, and it's always a good time, but it would be nice to flex and stretch our musical muscles a bit more and get creative again. So we slowly but surely.
We certainly didn't set out to make a new album. It was, I think, actually when we got together, we said, look, we've all got very busy lives now, and we live in separate parts of the country. Let's get together. Let's choose the shows that we want to do. Where we want to play the nice vineyard shows where we get given great Pinot Noir and cheese platters. And so we did that for a little bit, and then we actually we really enjoyed it, and the reaction that we were getting from our audience just really reflected this joy of what it was like making music back in the day. So it kind of lit a spark.
Yeah, well put. Yeah.
Well put. So because you guys had an interesting career back in the day, you put out these 2 albums that were very successful. The first one shooting to number 1, and the second one not far behind it, and then you called it a day. So do you remember why, or does it make sense now? Would you have done anything different?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a multitude of reasons, and I think all of us individually have different personal reasons. For me, my father became terminally ill, and we were working in Germany, and we were right in the middle of some pretty intensive work with the label out of Germany, living in Berlin, a fairly grafting tour and promotional schedule. And I felt the need to return home to be with family while we were going through that process. And I mean, that was one of the reasons for me why things stopped. But I think other reasons, there was a lot of pressure on the band at that point internationally, getting the album out, and we spent a lot of time away from home, living out of suitcases, going from one place to the next. And I don't know, it's fairly exhausting by the end of it, isn't it?
It's like it was really intensive, and it was at that period. It was like running a big block V8, and it was thirsty, and we just started to run out of a bit of gas towards the end there.
And you're kind of late teens. Yeah, you got all the energy, and then we were sort of heading towards our mid-20s, and what are we going to do with our lives? Is this going to be the thing or not? And that kind of pressure to make it a living out of it makes it hard as well, and I think that became stressful. Yeah, there's so many things. Life stages change as well, and I think.
So the reunion's been happening for like 5 years. So how is it different this time around?
Well, I mean, with the reunion, I think where it's not the main thing in our lives. It's a big thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I think the egos have tempered. Not that we had big ones, but there's something where we're doing it a lot more for the joy of it than we have to make this work because we had a number one. Well, right, we've got to have success again. Whereas now it's like there's sort of nothing to lose, which is a really nice, freeing place to be. And we really love doing it, which I think Ben was saying before. Like we love playing live, we love being together, we love creating, and to be in that position is just a no-brainer to do it again. And it feels a lot more naturally part of life, I think.
So it really puts the icing on the cake of life, doesn't it? Like the cake's delicious, but then the Z part of it's just like, it tops things up. And I think we've all in particular enjoyed this reconnection of relationships, and as you get older and you realize that you don't have that many connections with people that last 30 years, and they haven't seen the different stages of life you've gone through and the ups and the downs. So you start to really, really value those connections. And now we get together and we have some pretty robust discussions about what's going on in everyone's lives, and we're a great support crew for each other, and just have a jolly good time. Yeah.
Good on you. All right.
Music.
So getting into the new album, Future Memory, you got Nick Manders back producing, and you guys go way back with him as well. So what does he bring to the table when you get into the studio?
He's like a fifth member, isn't he?
He's like he's got a 360-degree view and everything, because he's a consummate musician himself, composer, arranger, engineer, the whole work. So you don't just get the production role with him involved. Like he played a lot of keyboard parts. He brought a lot to the table, basically, which was great, which is what we're after, I think.
And once again,
and did you have like deep and meaningful conversations with him about the sound that you wanted? Did you want to change what you had done before, move forward, kind of hit certain notes, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. Right from the beginning, didn't we? Right from pre-production and day one in the studio, it was. And I've said this a couple of times now, but I have a memory of day one in the studio where we went in and we laid down the live tracks of the first songs that we'd worked up, and then we went into the control room and we pressed mute on the guitars and said, right, what are we going to do instead?
Right.
What we kind of forced ourselves to look at different options, and it got us out of our box right from the beginning.
Yeah, it was good.
He questioned what we wanted to. He was very, explored with us where we want to be. And, he's 25 years or 25 years later since when we first worked with him on our first album. And he has grown into, as Andy said, a consummate musician and composer and producer. So it's like next level from the Nick we had in 2000.
It really becomes part of the band when you're in that process. Another studio memory when the four of us are in there live tracking, and I can hear Nath doing his guitar and Andy doing his bits over the top, and then I could hear this other tone coming through, and then this other melody, and I was like, who the heck is playing that? And I looked over at the and Manders is in there on the synth, doing okay, there was the secret fifth member just adding value.
There was a particular synthesizer around here which he just fell in love with, and he just was addicted to playing it all the time. So we let him lose, which just come through.
Well, that's nice. So what's the earliest song on the record that you guys started that made it to the record?
Really Into the Ocean, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Into the Ocean and Running, probably.
Into the Ocean. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah,
And that kind of is near the end of the record. Yeah.
yeah, near the end of the record, but a little one that I think Andy and I had worked on probably 10 years ago, and then just put in the filing cabinet. And when we played a little demo to the boys, everyone resonated with it, and it just had something to it that it was just like unique and special, and we've all sort of fallen in love with that track.
You wanted to fall into the ocean and live under the sea. We could stay down there forever, learning how to breathe. Ships would pass above us. No one would need to know if we fell in the ocean and lived under the sea.
And it didn't change a lot from the demo that they produced through to what we put on. We used the raw files from that demo and then added drums and bass. But I think a lot of your guitars were from 12 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
There was one other song that was written in 2005 that we recorded, and it didn't quite make the cut of the record, so it didn't fit sonically on with the rest of the songs. Good night, baby.
Oh, can I?
Gotcha. And one I want to talk about was Waiting Game, because it's kind of right in the middle of the record. It's 6 minutes long, where most of yours are 3-minute pop songs. So it feels kind of like the centerpiece of the record. Is it in your minds?
We were talking about this yesterday. I think it's in our sort of top 4. We will when we look at the songs that we enjoy the most on the album.
It's one of all of the favorites, isn't it?
I mean, it's long because we just kept recording and we were just jamming. We just kept playing, and I thought we kind of finished, so I'm just mucking around, and pretty much that whole length stayed on. And I think, once again, Nick led that, and I think
it's a song that's got a real just lovely groove to it that just doesn't want to end. It's just so comfortable as a song, and it felt so good to play that we just kept going.
And not like the old days when we're worried about how much we're spending on 2-inch reel-to-reel tape.
Yeah. That is so true.
Yeah, that one was fun.
The technology can be your friend.
We there's 2 or 3 tracks that we didn't really work up in pre-production. We were towards the end of the record, and we realized that we wanted another 3 or 4 songs, so we all did a bit of writing and then brought them to the studio. And then it was it's like, hey, these are the chords, guys. This is where I hear it going. And we all went in, and everyone was learning the song as we recorded, and that was sort of one of 3 takes. So there's a real jam element to it, and that brings some energy. I think that was for me, that was really enjoyable, like having this this move away from our previous way of working, where you'd really craft your parts outside of the studio, so that when you're in there, it's more about nailing your parts. Whereas with these songs, we're writing the parts as we were recording them, and it just captures an energy, because you play things that you wouldn't have otherwise played. Because
he pushed you to capture the energy and the emotion. He's like, don't get too hung up on playing it perfect. He's like, capture the energy and the emotion. And I think
here's the plan. Don't plan it.
Yeah. He's very much about that, and I think that's a different way to work. It's really quite enjoyable. And
it was great once we got the hang of it and made friends with that idea. It was awesome.
I remember saying that to me, playing a tambourine. Like, it sounds too perfect. Just pretend you're back to Woodstock, So
The other thing with Waiting Game, the ambition with that song was to write a song with only 2 chords in it, as a songwriting exercise. So it's and just like the 2 simplest chords, C and a D. We ended up actually taking it up a tone, so it's D and E, but it was just written on a C shape and sliding up to a C shape in a D position. And got pretty much through to the end of the second chorus and went, no, actually, we need some other chords. So where's the relative minor? It needed a lift.
That's exactly the same with Into the Ocean. I did the same thing where I just was like, I'm just going to use these 2 chords and see if I can get a whole song out of it. And got close.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then when you do those changes, they're really juicy, right? Because you're so used to just having this harmony doing the same thing, and it becomes that hypnotic kind of thing, and then you make a change, and all of a sudden, bang, love it.
Right, gotcha. Now you have a track called "Never Be Lonely," which I think was Andy's riff, but the words and stuff were kind of written around a campfire. I read somewhere, and now that I see the 4 of you together here, how easy you guys seem to get along, I can see how you. I was thinking, are you guys really sitting around campfires together?
You stay cool, I'm on fire, the truth to all my lies. You never worry when I don't make sense. You let me get away with good intentions. We're 2 in 1, ever since we were young. We're making memories that won't fade out. Yeah, you know we never had a doubt. Yeah, all of our luck, all of our dreams, all of our lies and replies, it seems. You know the shine, it won't last forever. Never say never.
Of writing this record was getting an opportunity to be at Andy's place. He hosted us, and we had a few evenings together where we were just sitting around with guitars and throwing ideas out. And we had this one idea. Andy had written this riff, which when I heard it, I thought that's a beautiful piece right there. There's a definite song in that, and so we chased it down, and it's really lovely because at the end of the end of that track. You can really hear just a bit of an all-in vocal sing-along, which really did capture the essence of that evening when we wrote it, which is really cool.
Very good. All right. And I was looking at some of your set lists, the recent ones, and you cover like the Beach Boys and Weezer and Radiohead, but I also see you do She's a Mod. Is that kind of a tip of the hat to old Ray Columbus? He kind of helped you out in the beginning, didn't he?
100%.
Yeah.
We would not be where we are without Ray. He was just so imperatively instrumental in building our careers, and the advice that he gave and the doors that he opened and the support that he had, like this unending positivity and drive towards songwriting. It's all about the songs. You have to craft the song. So he taught us where to put the energy. And he was such a champion for us. He was a wonderful man.
Yeah, it's nice to, it feels very, in general, because obviously I'm not from here, but I've been here 30 years, I can see that it's very supportive music scene, whereas in the States where I was, it was very competitive.
Right.
You find the same here?
Yeah, it feels like it's grown a lot and matured in that respect, and I think there is more support nowadays. Potentially in the early 2000s and late 90s, there was a bit more competitive. It just felt that way to me, but maybe it was just us being young bucks and
insecure.
and feeling insecure. Maybe
Too much testosterone.
Yeah.
Right.
But I just want to see.
And do you kind of keep in touch with any of the other bands that were your contemporaries back then? Because everybody's kind of doing, there's Good Shirt and there's the Feelers and there's, all these people who are kind of, everybody's still around.
Yeah. Well, Matt from the Feelers was at our sound check this morning. He lives in Akaroa. He's the original bass player.
Oh, right.
And his brother is Gareth Thomas, of course, from Good Shirt. So Matt was there this morning. He was bringing a 15-year-old guy from the local school who's interested in music and teching. So, brought him down to show him how to set up the PA and all that. So we are like, there's also some long-standing friendships from back in that time.
It's always lovely when you go to a festival and there's a band or two that we're playing when we first started and they're still playing too, and you can laugh about old times and reminisce. It's really good.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.